You might have heard that 3 UCLA basketball players were arrested in China for shoplifting sunglasses. President Trump helped negotiate for their release, as many presidents have done before him. And after they returned to the U.S., he tweeted, "Do you think the 3 UCLA basketball players will say thank you, President Trump? They were headed for 10 years in jail." Oh my God, he's starting to sound like a mean girl in 8th grade. Do you think Becky will thank me for letting her sit with us at lunch? She was headed for 10 days at the loser's table. Also, helping to keep American citizens out of communist prisons is part of your job. That's not above and beyond. That's eye level and right next to you. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if Trump put a jar on his desk for tips. After that tweet, the players did thank Trump for doing his job, but the father of one of those players, LeVar Ball, wasn't as compliant. So when Ball was asked about Trump, he said, "Who? What was he over there for? Don't tell me nothing. Everybody wants to make it seem like he helped me out." This is the feud we've been waiting for. This isn't Marco Rubio trying to win at Donald Trump's game. Donald Trump's game is LeVar Ball's game. And LeVar Ball knows there's no better way to troll Trump than by pretending to not know who he is. Who? Donald Trump? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that name. I get all my news from Rosie Magazine. And that, of course, did not sit well with our petulant man-child-in-chief.
The president, as you can see there on the screen, tweeted this: "Now that the 3 basketball players are out of China and saved from years in jail, LeVar Ball, the father of LeAngelo Ball, is unaccepting of what I did for his son, and that shoplifting is no big deal. I should have left them in jail."
I should have left them in jail. Every time I think Trump has hit rock bottom, he just bursts through the rock and keeps falling. He probably got to China by falling through the center of the earth and popping out the other side. And well, you might assume the president has better things to do with his time. He clearly remained obsessed with Ball's comment all day, because 6 hours later he followed up with another tweet: "Shoplifting is a very big deal in China, as it should be. 5 to 10 years in jail, but not to Father LeVar." So Trump agrees with an authoritarian regime that stealing sunglasses should earn you 10 years in jail. Although maybe Trump's just anti-sunglasses in general, considering he doesn't even wear them to stare at an eclipse. Trump is clearly a thug and a wannabe dictator who lashes out at anyone who isn't sufficiently obedient. Remember, one of his closest aides, Omarosa, practically bragged that Trump's critics would have to genuflect before him.
Every critic, every detractor will have to bow down to President Trump. It's everyone who's ever doubted Donald, whoever disagreed, whoever challenged him. It is the ultimate revenge to become the most powerful man in the universe.
And that music wasn't even added for dramatic effect. It just follows Omarosa wherever she goes. The list of people Trump has attacked includes black NFL athletes, black college basketball players, a black congresswoman, and a mayor who's a woman of color. And who's on the list of people Trump hasn't attacked? Dictators, Nazis, and an accused sexual predator who cosplays as creepy Yosemite Sam. Trump even found time on Friday to tweet about the accusations against Democratic Senator Al Franken, who admitted to groping and kissing a Los Angeles radio host without her consent. Now, as we said last week, Franken's actions are horrifying, and while he's apologized, he will still have to face the consequences. In fact, today, a second woman came forward to accuse Franken of inappropriately touching her, telling CNN that he grabbed her buttocks while taking a photo at the Minnesota State Fair. She said, "You just feel gross, like, ooh, I want to wash that off me." And you know it's bad when you're the grossest thing at a state fair. That's where they deep fry Twinkies. So Franken's behavior is inexcusable, and Democrats need to hold him accountable for it, but sexual harassment should be a nonpartisan issue. It's gross and cynical to exploit it for political gain while you refuse to condemn the abusers in your own party. Trump still hasn't publicly disavowed his party's candidate for Senate in Alabama, Roy Moore, despite the fact that every day we get more and more evidence about how creepy Moore's behavior was. As we told you last week, Moore was banned from the Gadsden Mall. In fact, the Washington Post interviewed a woman who said Moore approached her at the mall when she was a high school senior. And after she turned him down, Moore called her while she was in school. A few days later, she said she was in trigonometry class at Gadsden High when she was summoned to the principal's office over the intercom in her classroom. She had a phone call. I said, "Hello." And the male on the other line said, "Gina, this is Roy Moore." I was like, "What?" He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm in trig class." Man, my trig's not great, but I'm pretty sure in this case, sin X equals disgusting pervert. And yet, despite these reports, the White House seems to be telling Alabamans to vote for Moore anyway so they can pass tax cuts. Today, White House counselor Kellyanne Conway went on Fox to slam Moore's Democratic opponent, Doug Jones. And while she didn't explicitly say it, she seemed to be urging people to vote for Moore.
Doug Jones in Alabama, folks, don't be fooled. He'll be a vote against tax cuts. He's weak on crime, weak on borders. He's strong on raising your taxes. He's terrible for property owners. And Doug Jones is a doctrinaire liberal, which is why he's not saying anything and why the media are trying to boost him.
So vote Roy Moore?
I'm telling you that we want the votes in the Senate to get this tax bill through.
So according to Kellyanne Conway, there is now a lower bar of entry for the Senate than a mall in Alabama. Hey, creep, we told you, you're not welcome at this mall. Well, then I guess I'll be off to Washington, D.C., where people aren't so picky. Now, if Trump's behavior, in general, strikes you as the behavior of a moron, you're not alone. Of course, his own Secretary of State called him one in private, and apparently he's not the only close aide with a dim view of the president's intelligence, because today it was reported that Trump's national security advisor, H.R. McMaster, mocked President Trump's intelligence at a private dinner with a powerful tech CEO. McMaster dismissed the president variously as an idiot and a dope with the intelligence of a kindergartner. And that is absurd, because even kindergartners know not to stare directly at the sun. This has been a closer look.